Let's make you. You're an interesting gal. Let's explore. I decided today that I wanted to make this dress. I thought it was a coat. According to the back, it is a dress. Pierre Cardin, Vogue, Paris. No idea how one is to get in and out of it. I have no idea anything about it, actually. I don't even know if I have all the pieces. I know that it says it's a size 12, which is a 32-inch bust. This is today's objective. Wish me luck. Wool that I found at Joann's, RIP Joann's. But I'm opening this up to see what pieces are here. And look, it comes with its own tag. How adorable is that? I can put this in the back and then people will think that this was not handmade, I suppose. Another thing that I love about vintage patterns, seeing newspapers from the actual time that someone made this. Someone wanted to add to this. This talks about Mia Farrow, sobering truth about Vietnam. Pan Am. This pattern is from 1967. Vietnam War started in the 50s, which I honestly didn't know. We withdrew in 73. Our peak, according to Wikipedia, was 69, which is interesting because this is talking about where we are so far in the war. So this could be any of those years between 67 and 73. That's kind of neat. All right, so moving on. I don't actually know what I'm going to do about this quite yet because they felt the need to widen the side of this. They did just cut it down the middle and add a whole big panel. So I'm going to have to see how I feel about that panel, if I need to take it back away or if I'm appreciative of them putting it in there for me. So we'll find out. All right, time to see what we're making here. I have to add some darts. Stitch some stitches to reinforce, get the collar ready. Then we get to the sleeves, and then all of a sudden we have a coat. I'm not studying for an exam or anything. I tend to want to just make it look like the thing and not actually make the thing. We'll see. Let's iron out all of the pieces, lay them out onto the fabric. Do I need that extra? I don't know if I need that extra. Going through and making sure that the pieces are going to actually fit. So I try them on a little bit. And now I'm getting the fabric laid out perfectly aligned so it does not pucker when I go to cut. I went ahead and kept that piece in there. Let's see if it's a good idea. Spoiler alert, I do cut some pieces the wrong way. It will impact me a little bit and frustrate me a little bit. But I left that in because it's real life and that does happen, especially with old patterns, reading old patterns. Let's choose our thread. I've got two very similar threads. It's gonna be perfectly fine. I don't want to run out, so I do have two that match enough. First, let's get some darts going. Another spoiler alert, when I was reading the pattern, I thought I was supposed to stitch both shoulders and I wasn't. So I think it's gonna be warm and cozy in this spring when I go to Rome, or maybe when I go to New Jersey, which I'm doing too. So far so good, but this is merely a warm-up. Oh, don't I know it when I go to try this on. Go ahead and stitch these now. Good time to bring out my ham. A tasty treat. I've made 2 stitches, but let's see what this dress looks like. Oh my God, that neck hole is so tight. I mean, it's kind of serving. It's kind of awesome. Clip it, flip it, baste it. Clip it, flip it, clip it, flip it, baste it. Got that? Beautiful. Go ahead and press it, and then we will baste it. What are we basting it on? Nobody knows. Bad humor. That's what we're basting it on. Okay. Basting it on the highest stitch possible. So you're going to see here that I am struggling just a little bit with this because I'm not supposed to stitch both shoulders. And so this was supposed to remain wide open. And so I am very desperately trying to match all of the symbols and get this on there as precisely as humanly possible. Go ahead and baste this and see what we're doing. Oh, it's so perfect. Well, that's exciting. Isn't that exciting? We now need to make this monstrosity. Okay, so stitch the front neck facing to the back neck facing. At shoulders, match the V's. Stitch one front facing section to the front neck facing at side, matching the V's, clip front facing to small, blah, blah. Stitch left back facing, back neck facing. I got a lot of this, that, and the other. Let's start by 4 to 5. The wrong side. Cut this the wrong way. I gotta cut the reverse of these. They're the opposite of what I need. So let's get some fabric and cut a couple more. So I decided to also leave all of this in. There's gonna be a bit of frustration on my part. When I was looking at the pattern pieces on what I needed to cut out, I did my best. Sometimes, however, there's so many different options with all the different sizes of fabric and pieces of fabric, and I just try to read the pieces and see what it wants me to do. And sometimes it wants you to actually flip the piece over to cut it out, which I always find interesting because it's printed on one side and then they tell you to actually cut it out on the reverse side. It happens and it's okay. You just kind of move on. All right, there's 5. Now let's do 4. This is the wrong side of 5. Okay, this time I did it. I find it a little bit funny. I left this in too. I'm starting to get frustrated. All right, let's do number 6. Well, that just happens to be lucky. I cut this one out right. Clip and trim and press. Clip and trim and press. And then we're gonna do 7 in the same fashion. This guy has to be like this. Oh, I think I got that one wrong. I think, wait, yeah, that one's wrong. 6 right, how did I get 7 wrong? Come here, you. But we also need to know what the grain is. Oh, it's a long way. Dook-a-dook. The grain is important. The side of the fabric you choose is important. Okay, no harm, no foul. Some Tetris going on here. All right, the last piece. Okay. And trim. Well, that was actually kind of fun. Despite having all those issues, it was still fun. So I don't know what I made. We'll find out. Pin facings to the front and back, matching centers, V's, symbols, and shoulder seams, base stitch, and then start doing things. Pivoting at small shoulders on the next stitch side back, leaving back extension open. It's a back extension. What am I doing? What am I doing? What is this supposed to symbolize? Oh, I don't quite know what this is. How is that supposedly not already sealed? I figured something out. Okay, I figured something out. Oh my gosh, I feel so dumb. This had me only stitch one shoulder. That's why at right shoulder. I don't read directions very often. That's why this whole thing is open. I'm like, well, I don't get how it's still open. I did such a beautiful job too. All right, so this is my right shoulder. So this shoulder comes apart. That's not going to be the biggest detriment of my life. It's okay. Okay, so I'm just taking this apart. It back stitched it so it wouldn't come undone. Okay. Whoa, it looks so much more like the picture. This makes so much more sense. All right, I'm back on track. And this step was actually quite easy. All of the pieces matched up just so, and I'm just pinning it so that I can sew it precisely and not get any little snags or lumps or bumps and have this sealed off real nice and clean. Oh, I just hope it fits. I'm gonna baste that. Okay, I get what I'm basting now. All right, Kim Basinger over here. I'm basting this thing. And the side, oh, that looks nice. That does look nice. Get that done on this side. It is a fresh new day. I need to now add the other side to this. So it's gonna have me put two pieces together and then stitch them in, because this had me seal this over here, which is really rather interesting. It starts up the back, circles around the front, and ends up back on the same side. And now I've got to add the other side. So let's get started in on that. One thing I learned about clipping a seam is that you want to stack the seam. So you clip one of them in closer than the other. So when you flip them over, they're not hitting at the same spot. For those of you who already know what I'm talking about, take a coffee break. When I lived in New York, I would go to Mood, and Swatch did live there, the dog. And they had classes at Mood in Manhattan. And I took a corsetry class, which, I was way in over my head. I didn't know anything about making a corset, but I do still recommend taking sewing classes, regardless of what it is, because you'll take something with you. I took trimming one side shorter than the other so that when it is flipped over, it's less bulk. That's the one thing I think I took from that corsetry class, other than I don't know how to do boning very well. That was a good tip that I learned. So you can take classes. Even if it seems like a daunting lesson plan, don't feel afraid to be there and feel like you belong. We all have to learn somewhere. Now we're just gonna stitch this down. She's taking shape. Okay, I think I get to finally move on to sleeves maybe. Let's find out. It's having us put the sleeve into that side part before we attach the side part to the rest of the dress. I really do find it interesting because when you're designing, you have to think backwards, right? You have to say, okay, how does this go together? How do these pieces form? And then you make an outfit. But when you have already made an outfit and now you're trying to come up with a way to sell it to the masses and you want everyone to follow these steps, it is so interesting to me that the order in which these steps are achieved, there's not much thinking involved on my part in terms of, I would never put this together in this way. They're just telling you steps. And so you're shutting off a part of your brain that would actually think in terms of how would I construct this garment, because you are just literally constructing it the way they're telling you, which is, I think, why I'm consciously fighting it and keep making mistakes, because I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing so much as I'm like following the steps. Does that make sense? Maybe, maybe not. All right, on to the sleeve. So now I'm just adding the darts in the top of the shoulder to take away the fullness, pinning it up, and then I'll stitch it up. Beautiful shoulder. Not quite sure which shoulder I just made. Oh, that tightened it up nice though. It can be really nice. Hello. See if we can't make sisters out of these, or at least identical cousins, nothing else. All right, so I'm gonna pin up the next sleeve and stitch it up. And then there's also a dart in the bottom of the sleeve that I had to clip and stitch. Yay, another sleeve. Hello there. This is me and my underside of my coat. Oh, hello. I am serving a look. Oh, it's like futuristic. Oh, this whole thing. I'm gonna load up. Now I'm just pinning the underside of the sleeve to the top half of the dress, essentially. Have to do a lot of pinning to make sure that this is going to ease in just so. All right, let's try this on and see if I'm making something. Is it a thing? Can you see it? Is it a thing? That looks like a thing. Oh my god, that looks like a thing. Okay. So if I were to stitch this, I have this extra little gap here. But I don't know if I then am going to tack that down and stitch over top of it. I'm guessing I might. All right, full steam ahead. I am pinning in the other side. All right, don't laugh at me. I don't know what this thing looks like at all. Starting to sense this isn't fitting right. No, don't like that sense at all. Actually, I think it fits perfectly fine. I haven't actually finished those edges yet. That's going to take an extra inch or so in on both sides. And interestingly enough, this thing has an extra flap that it wants me to stitch onto the bottom. I need to do some more stitching so I don't have flying squirrel arms. The fabric I chose, it feels more like a coat than a dress. Okay, so I think it's time for me to go rogue because I think as a coat, this thing is great. I think it's great as a coat. As a dress, I think it's awful, but I never wanted this to be a dress. I wanted it to be a coat. So here's where I'm going with this. I'm going to figure out a way that I'm going to seal it here, add an extra panel to the inside so that this can swing over. I also think pockets are definitely in order, maybe even tie it up. And I think it's going to be a really elegant coat, but I think it is time for me to go rogue. I lasted as long as I could. So that extra little panel that they gave me, I'm going to make that the bottom of the inside of that flap. And now I'm just trying to find a piece to put on top with what's remaining. But first I felt that I should get a belt in order because I was running out of fabric. So I made a belt and then I cut up the top. And here's that belt, and I think it's gonna be great. Now I took a piece to put in for the top, and I'm just going around and making sure that it's gonna lay exactly as I needed it to lay. So I bought some snaps for a different project, but I'm excited to use those on this project. So I went ahead and put a panel in, and I'm going to stitch that panel to the sleeve so it's a complete coat. And then this will fold over with a nice belt that I cut out with the remaining fabric. You'll see here, I actually had a piece left over that I cut out the wrong way. I actually used that as the basing for the top part that's on the inside so that I actually had something to stitch it down to. And there you go. I think it's actually taking shape and I love it. So I have this shirt that I got to make into a dress or something, and it's very stretchy, soft, silky feel. I think that will actually make a really great liner for this coat. Isn't that pretty? So I think I'm going to use that as my liner. So this layer I am actually going to allow some fullness. So I'm easing this in so that there is fullness. So when I'm wearing this, it's not pulling the front. It is going to be ready in 3, 2, 1. And here she is. I am done. I can't believe I am finally done with this project. I'm so happy with the way it turned out. I put pockets in her. I gave her a belt, a lining, and some snaps. I could not be happier with this. It is so cozy. It's going to make such a lovely coat. I'll just show you. I could actually wear it without the belt. It's just as lovely. And I'm not afraid to take it off because I do have that extra panel in there. Let's get these snaps unsnapped. And it is a coat. And I'm very happy with the way it turned out. Join me next time as I make something else, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. So see you next time. Ciao.